Hey, what's going on, everybody? Steve here, Raiken Profit, and we're joined by my buddy Andrew.
Hey, man.
And Andrew has been doing wholesale since about 2016. So he's been doing this for about 5 or 6 years now. Time flies by. And Andrew is netting $20,000 a month from his business. And today we just wanted to pick his brain and talk about his journey, talk about his wins, losses, ups and downs. And Andrew actually went through the Wholesale Formula program a while ago, and this is how he learned wholesale. And I really just want to dive into what it took to succeed. You know, a lot of people, Andrew, we were talking behind the scenes, they start with thrifting, retail arbitrage, online arbitrage. Maybe they flip some items from garage sales on eBay, and then they say, "Oh man, this is a lot of work. I want to get into something where I wouldn't say it's easier, but you're able to have products coming to you. You can scale your business easier in a certain way." But Andrew actually just dove right into it. He looked at RA and OA and said, "You want to know what? I'm just jumping right into the wholesale game." And yeah, he's gotten to the point where he's netting about 20K per month now, which is really impressive. And just wanted to chat with you, man. So thanks so much, Andrew, for coming on, man. Like I was saying behind the scenes, I think you got the best beard so far in 2022 that's come on the channel. So thanks for coming on. How you feeling? How you doing, man?
Doing good. Yeah, that's 2 years worth of being locked at home with COVID, right?
Exactly. So talk to me about, why you decided to get into wholesale, because there's going to be a lot of people watching now who are selling on eBay, flipping books on Amazon, doing the RA, Goodwill, Savers, thrifting game. And they might be thinking to themselves, like, why would I get into wholesale? It's going to cost more money. It's going to take more time. There's more business skills and systems. Like there's higher risk. Like, why did you decide to go into wholesale versus just flipping stuff from garage sales, thrift stores, stuff like that?
Yeah. So when my brother and I started back in 2016, early 2017, we really were looking for something to replace the jobs that we had at that point in time. And so we kind of sat down and had a conversation about what does this need to provide for both of us to live off of. And there just wasn't enough cash volume, whatever, in RAOA at that point. And both of us are relatively fiscally conservative, right? So we weren't looking for some huge risk like a private label, big buy where you got to go put, 50K in on something that you don't even know if it's going to sell when you get the container load of stuff here, that sort of thing. So that wholesale really just kind of felt like a perfect fit in terms of, okay, there's a little bit more risk. Yes. But hey, if you're looking to create a business, there's going to be some risk, but it not quite the level of risk that you have with a private label sort of endeavor. So
yeah, and private label is crazy now. Have you heard of like the cost now to get shipping containers overseas and stuff? Like some people are saying used to be 3,000, now it's like 25,000.
Right. Yeah, I do a little bit of private label on the side now as well, just with another business with a friend, and yeah, we import some stuff from India, and it's over double. It was 6,000 for a 20-foot container, and now we're looking at almost 14. So it's mind-bogglingly more expensive now.
So, we're in 2022 right now, and obviously the private label games become a lot more challenging.
Right.
I don't know enough about it to say if it's still worth it or not. Yeah. But I could definitely bring on some guests to talk about it. But with wholesale, Andrew, are you experiencing any challenges in 2022? And do you expect to have any challenges? Like, are you like with wholesale, are you importing items, using Alibaba? Are you like going overseas, or is this all domestic?
No, where we've found especially the last 2 years, where we found the biggest niche is in brands that are made in the USA, right? That way you're not dealing with all that, overseas shipping, et cetera. I will say it's still a challenge. Some of them still are sourcing, product containers or packaging or that sort of stuff from overseas. So, there's still supply chain issues even there. But you got to kind of build good relationships and stay in touch with those, brands, and just kind of do the kind of the constant talking, checking in, asking about their family and their kids and all that. Like, it's just all I say BS, but it's all the personal stuff that puts you sometimes at the head of the list for getting inventory when other people don't,
Yeah, yeah. I mentioned before the show, I interviewed David Wosick, who is also part of the Wholesale
Yep.
Formula. He coaches over there too.
Yep.
He's on pace. I think he said to hit like over 20 million
It's crazy.
this year, and he
He's
said
done
it's a
some crazy
relation.
stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy. He says it's a relationship game. It's all about building the relationship
Yep.
with the brand, because the more you build the relationship with the brand, and we'll talk about exactly what you're doing, the more opportunities you can have to sell other products in the
Yep.
line. You could even get discounts
Yep.
sometimes, or other times you could even get exclusive access to be that only
Yep.
seller. So, what exactly is wholesale? Because there's people who go through distributors. There's people like the Wholesale Formula teaches, where you're learning how to build relationships with brands and becoming either one of many sellers or an exclusive seller, and you're
Yep.
learning how to add value to build that relationship. What exactly is wholesale? How do you do it? What's it look like?
Yeah, I mean, when I try to explain this to friends and family who are like, "What is it you do for a living?" I just kind of tell them, "Hey, this is just like having a retail store, a brick and mortar store, right? You contact brands of products that are profitable or that you want to carry, and you work out some sort of relationship where you can buy their product and sell it to others on Amazon. Like it's not that different from a normal brick and mortar store. What does change is, on Amazon, to provide value, to convince, there is some hesitancy, I think, among brands to jump in with Amazon. And so there is some kind of value added that you need to be able to offer. So, optimizing listings, copy, graphics, um, if you're good with video, putting together videos, all that sort of stuff.
So what I'm curious is, say someone's brand new to wholesale and they might be thinking, well, maybe there's a company that sells pet stuff, pet products, Johnny's Pet Supply Company. So if I have, my wholesale certificate and, I have my business and stuff, I can't just approach Johnny's Wholesale Supply and be able to get a list of products. Sometimes, are you saying like in your business you have to get approved to sell? Like you can't just go through a distributor and get the deal? Like what are the differences there?
I mean, so yeah, there's lots to talk about there. So, you know, generally, what we would do, and I think what TWF would recommend you do, is you kind of start the other direction. You look and you find products that are profitable on Amazon, and then you go and contact those brands, as opposed to, you know, oh hey, I know this guy down the road sells some products somewhere. Like maybe I can sell those on Amazon. That's usually not the way to start making money. You end up investing in a lot of inventory that isn't necessarily going to sell on Amazon. So if you start the other way and you find products that are profitable on Amazon and then contact those brand owners, a lot of times that's going to work out better for you.
So what do you mean by a product that is profitable? Because I would assume any product that sells could be profitable if you get it at the right price. Because how would you know what you would be able to buy the item for? Like when I go to a thrift store, I know if something's profitable or not because I look the item up on the eBay sold listings, or I
Right.
scan it with the
Right.
app and I'm able to put in my buy cost and I can see what the selling price is.
Right.
But I'm sure you're maybe using some tools like tactical arbitrage and your reverse sourcing and
Yeah.
finding
I mean,
things that are
right.
selling. But how do you know what's good or
Yeah.
not?
We use Rev Seller and Jungle Scout a lot. And a few other little tools. Um, Keep up. Like there's a pretty quick and easy list of
Yeah.
software there. But yeah, I mean, it's a combination of, volume, and then, I mean, this is a kind of a placeholder, but yeah, a lot of times if you assume, hey, you're going to be able to buy at 50% off retail, I mean,
Mm.
that's a pretty standard keystone pricing. A lot of times you can get it better. If you back to that relationship piece we were talking about, like I've got several products where, I mean, I have dramatically better pricing, only because, like, one, I buy a bunch of volume, and two, I spend a lot of time on the phone with them. We talk about it, whatever. That's, like I said, talk about their kids, talk about politics, we talk about whatever. Like it just kind of a little bit of hangout and, kind of shoot the breeze with people. That just, relationships do matter and does count. And I mean, a lot of times when you do that, you end up, sometimes when it's just a purely business thing, you don't hear the other challenges, the other issues that they're having in their business. And a lot of times you can kind of raise your hand and be like, hey, yeah, actually I can help with that and solve a problem, solve an issue, whatever, get rid of some other seller that's killing them or whatever, that you can just kind of solve problems when you spend some time getting to know them. So
Yeah, that's really good advice. From interviewing a lot of people in the wholesale formula, they say the number one thing is a lot of Amazon sellers, Andrew, they just don't add value. They literally, like, maybe they'll run some PPC, but they're not fixing the listing. They're not working with the brand. They're not researching competition. And I think
it
it
is
was
mind-boggling to me that brand owners will just sell their product to anybody who wants to buy without any sort of requirement or restriction or anything. Like, yeah, you really do. I think that's also a caution, a warning for people getting into this is like, man, if you get on a listing and you see that there's 80 sellers, like, head the other direction. That is not the product you want to be selling. Like,
why is that?
if you're going to divide that buy box between 80 people, like, what, you're going to get a sale every 6 days, something like that. Like, I mean, so find something with 2, 3, 4 people, find something with one person selling it and approach them and show them how much value you can add in terms of listing optimization or graphics or, whatever else. Pay-per-click is a good thing too. We, I, we cover we pay a lot of money to an ad agency to work directly with all the wholesale brands that we have, and that's another piece that I kind of pitch the ad agency to wholesale brands that I work with, that, hey, we've got this ad agency that's like one of the top in the United States, and they work on Amazon and they work for me.
So that's kind of a cost that you eat, but that's a
I do.
value prop. And in
Yep.
2022, Gary Vee talks a lot about this. It's a new economy. You want to open the gates of the relationship. Like, you want to come in adding value first, because you know how it is now in 2022, Andrew, like, everybody's just trying to get,
Right.
give me the listing, give me the wholesale
Right.
products. And it's like, well, what are you going to do? You can
Right.
cause a lot of problems for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, man, if you get in there, yes, totally uneducated sellers could really mess up a listing. Yes. Yep.
So what is the main reason why you kind of like, and we talked about this, but for the folks who really don't understand, like, why do wholesale instead of just going out and finding one-offs all the time? Like, what's
Yeah.
the main reason you like wholesale and people should be aware of it?
Yeah. I mean, when we started this, we really picked wholesale because you really spend a little bit of time on the front end and get a lot of systems set up, a lot of processes set up to source potential products, to contact brands, even to analyze price lists. Like, a lot of that you can do in an automated fashion or semi-automated. I mean, when we started, we brought on pretty quickly one virtual assistant who kind of ran all those automated processes for us. So the two of us spent, I don't know, 5 or 10 hours a
Like,
week.
give
But
me an
then
example of some things that the VA might do.
yeah, so we have a process where when we get a price list, they'll run it through Price Checker 2, and it spits out a giant spreadsheet of pricing comparisons, et cetera, whatever. But a lot of times that needs to be cleaned up. You got to kind of double check Price Checker 2 a little bit and make sure that everything's legit. A lot of times, you can set Price Checker 2 to not consider listings that Amazon is on, but sometimes Amazon shows up on listings, but they're not actually there. And a lot of times everybody else avoids those. So we would find good products, like going back on that stuff and double checking some of Price Checker 2 stuff that other people would assume is no good. So there's a lot of that where, okay, well, we've got this whole checklist on our back end, where this VA would go through and do a lot of manual heavy lift for us in terms of, like,
Yeah, it's a lot.
looking at an actual listing, looking at Keepa, looking at Jungle Scout for each one of these products, and just, like, visually verifying, well, is Amazon actually selling? Are they the one actually getting the buy box right now? How long did they get the buy box? Has it been once in the last 90 days and that's why Price Checker 2 just kicked them out, or that sort of thing. So we got a whole process for that. When we add a new brand, we've got a whole process for all the onboarding, all new SKU creation. And just there's a fair bit when you're doing wholesale. If you're doing volume as opposed to just one product, if you're doing a volume of different products as opposed to just a lot of volume of one product, there's a lot of just kind of maintenance, paying attention to what's changing on a listing on a daily basis. Like there's a lot going on there.
How much are you spending in how much time on average are you spending in your business now to make 20K net per month? And I'll even preface that by saying like, well, even before that, like maybe what were you spending before and what are you spending now? Cause I know you spend a lot of time building out systems with your team and whatnot.
Yeah, so there was uh, now I would say, yeah, 5 hours a week on wholesale. But
Oh,
I've got three VAs, right, who
mm,
do this kind of in the background, right? And I've spent what 5 years now developing all the systems for
mm.
how to do this without people screwing something up or ordering $100,000 of product accidentally, or like all this sort of stuff, right? So, but at the beginning, it was me and my brother, and between the two of us, I mean, both of us had full-time jobs, so we would meet at Starbucks at like 6 a.m. and work for 2 hours before work, and then I'd do calls to brands at lunch hours or whatever. We would go home and we'd work on it after work. I mean, we'd be sitting there on like instant message or whatever on FaceTime or whatever until 11 or 12 at night for like days on end, trying to get everything set up.
Did you love it? Did you love doing like did you enjoy the process or
So
was it
part of
like
my
grueling?
background's in ecom already, so like that was why we even connected on this in the first place. Was just I kind of got a background in some of that anyway. Like it's not directly tied together, but there's a lot of similarities. So
How nerve-wracking was it, Andrew, when you had to first start making those calls? And I'll even say, I know a lot of people who they land deals without calls. They do it all through email, but I think having calls with brands is important to be able to build the relationship to really, there's just certain things you can communicate only through the phone versus,
right, yeah. So I'll say this two different ways. One, um, uh, calls were super nerve wracking for me. I'm not like this super like outgoing people person, so that definitely is the case. We actually, I mean, we set up a system. I mean, we started with emails, right? And we would send just because of our time commitments.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot of time for calls, so we'd send. Yeah, at one point we were doing like 20 emails a day to new brands, and when they responded was when, okay, we'd start a conversation via email and then decide if it was worth a phone call at that point. Sometimes even we'd wait until we got a price list and then get on and have a call. So that I'll say that first. What I've moved to over the last 18 months or so, and I found to be a lot more impactful, is just a short little introductory video to them. You got to kind of reduce the number of brands that you want to send emails to, but if you can shoot, what, a 90-second, 2-minute, just quick video and stick that in an email to somebody, a lot of times you get some of the benefits of the personalization of a phone call without, for me, the nerve wracking, like getting on the phone, trying to figure
Wow.
out who it's going to go to and all that sort of stuff. So for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, that's a good tip. I get a lot of people who reach out to me wanting to, do sponsorships on my videos or agencies to help with advertising, so on and so forth. And I always just delete them because I'm getting a million. But
Right.
every now and then I get a video
Yeah.
and the video is like personalized. Like they'll say my
Right.
name, my channel, and they'll point out a couple things that they think that,
You could do
you
better.
know, yeah, that I
Yeah.
could do better. And I'm like, wow, they actually took the time. Like
Right.
this isn't just some like robot
Right.
or some VA in the
Right.
Philippines who,
Yeah, so you got to kind of balance it, right? Like obviously if you're, because that's my time, right? I can't outsource that to a VA when I'm shooting a video. Like that doesn't work, right? So you got to balance it. How many of those can you do in a day or a week or whatever? Like,
yeah.
it's quantity versus quality a little bit there. So you got to do a little bit more upfront research to make sure that the guys you're talking to, you're actually going to make money off of if you close a deal, right? I mean, you don't want to spend a bunch of time diving into a brand that you end up not making any money on.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of tweak it a little bit and do your research beforehand. But I do, like you said, like when you see a video in there, loom, something pops up, like, hey, somebody spent a little bit of time thinking
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. That's a great tip, Andrew. So let's transition.
Yeah.
But before we transition, I want to talk about how much money it takes to start this business, talk about if it's still a good opportunity. But before we get into that, I do want to let everybody know who's watching now. The Wholesale Formula does have a free training that's coming up soon, and they have a great blog. If you guys haven't checked out their website, they have a lot of great blog posts, free information, free training. So I'll put some links down below. That training is starting soon. So I don't know. Did you go through one of their free trainings? Most of the
Yep.
people who join the Wholesale Formula, they go through the free training,
Yep.
and you
Yeah,
know, they
I've been impressed with everything they've done.
yeah.
Like, I've stayed connected with a lot of those guys, and it's they're good guys. They're trustworthy, and you know, a lot of stuff online nowadays. That's the biggest question, right? Are you getting into something that you can even trust the guys who are teaching you? So I think
Yeah.
they do a great job.
Yeah, I've had Dan and Dylan and the Wholesale Formula on my channel for 5 or 6 years
Yeah.
now, and you know they've done a really great job. So just want to put that out there. Andrew, let's move into, you know, let's just be real, man. Like, I want you to give your honest opinion. I don't want you to sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
Is wholesale still something that, and I'm not trying to be biased, but I just want to know, like, is wholesale in 2022 still something that works? Like, is it saturated? Is it something that, like, can new people actually get in and compete with people like you and David Wosick and Emmerich and Dan and Dylan and, you know, these guys who are doing hundreds of thousands,
Yeah.
millions? Like, is it still something the little guy, the little girl could do?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I mean, is there competition? Yeah, there's competition out there. Like, but I mean, I've got lists upon lists of potential products, brands to go contact, and I have so many, I just run out of time. So there's plenty of them out there. For somebody brand new, yeah, it may take you more time. You may need to be more attentive and more focused on all the kind of little extras that you're providing to provide value. But hey, if you're looking for the next thing to do, there's nothing holding you back or keeping you out of it. I don't think at all.
That's good to know. What advice would you give to someone who is like, you know, a thrifter, or they sell books, or they know Amazon in terms of RA and OA, but they don't really know Amazon in terms of, you know, the actual starting a product, the brand, like that's a whole different side. Like buying stuff from thrift stores and retail stores to flip, it's completely, I mean, it's same in a sense of like you have to learn how to use Keepa and understand
Right.
graphs, and like you understand that you have to price less than Amazon. Amazon's
Right.
going to fill the buy box. Like they get all that, but when it comes to wholesale, they're worried about jumping on a phone call because they're like, I don't know anything about SEO or PPC, or like, I understand that, like, obviously having good keywords and copy and pictures is important, but I don't know how to do all this stuff. Like, I don't know all the ins and outs of that. Like, I understand it, but I don't, like, I've never done it before. I've never, like, I don't know how to like go and edit a listing or any of that stuff. What advice would you give to that type of person who they know Amazon? They could be doing 6 figures a
Right.
year with Amazon, but they don't know that side of it. They're
Right.
confused.
Right.
They're worried to jump on a call because it's just a different side of the coin, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I mean, so a you get a lot of great stuff from people like the Wholesale Formula. They've had lots of free trainings from them, in terms of listing optimization, that sort of stuff. But there's no better way than to start doing it. I mean, at the end of the day, you just got to like hop on the call. Maybe try to educate yourself a little bit before you get on a first call, right? But I mean, they're going to ask you questions, and you're not going to know, and you're going to say, "Hey, that's a great question. Let me get back to you." And then you're going to go research it, and you're going to know that for the next time. Like, I'm not kidding. I learned stuff about Amazon every day that I didn't know, and I've been doing this for 5 freaking years. Like, I mean, I literally had a call with my VAs the other day, and they said, "Hey, we did what you told us to do, and we just broke apart 3 parent listings, and now I'm having to put it all back together." And I was like, "Oh, well, I didn't know that would do that. Well, that's good to know. Like, I guess we'll put that in the knowledge bank for next time." So, like, I mean, most things that you do, you can get fixed. At the end of the day, you do something wrong, you screw something up. Like, okay, you can quickly go beg Amazon to undo it real quick, right? Like, so I mean, yeah, a lot of it's like a little bit learning on the job. You're gonna figure it out as you go, and some of it's like you keep learning new stuff. Some of it, Amazon changes it every 2 weeks. So I mean, there's gonna be some of that too.
I'm curious, Andrew. So you enrolled in the Wholesale Formula program.
Yeah, I did.
Did were you able to start your business and start having success just from the program, or did you need additional coaching? Because I know they offer coaching inside.
We didn't
I've
do,
actually,
yeah, we didn't do any of their coaching right off the bat. It was just the program, and then
oh, okay.
we took probably 8 weeks after the course, um, of really setting up the business, setting up the processes and the systems, before we put a single product in Amazon. So that's, I mean, you spend a few weeks doing their course, which is super helpful. I think it was. I still go back and look at some of that stuff sometimes. So, um, but then we took 2 or 3 months of really getting things set up so that when we started, we were able to kind of drop stuff into a process and have it already created, etc.
I'm curious, because I've gone through the program as well. You were in the 8-week period, you took the program, you were kind of getting set up. What are, again, high level, you don't have to
Yeah,
get into the nitty gritty,
yeah,
but like, what were the things you were really setting up outside of, I'm sure you got your company set up, your wholesale, your resale certificate, because you're going to need that.
right.
What were you really, was it the systems, like did you hire a VA off the bat to help with like
Yes.
scripts with emails and responding, and like
Yep.
what were some of the other things that you were kind of setting up in that beginning before you were like,
Yep.
all right, I'm gonna like hit go?
Yeah, it was. I mean, getting accounts set up with all those different softwares that I mentioned, and then yeah. So I mean, we use Process Street for a lot of our kind of checklists, etc. So it was setting up in Process Street. So here's your list of leaf sourcing, and here's where we want you to put all the different potential products, and here's for the VA, then going and researching those brands and using LinkedIn, like all the process for trying to find good contacts at each brand, and then okay, then here's the email template, and you need to drop this piece of information in and this piece, and having all that in a template, and then um, what at that point it was we use HubSpot for sending emails out, which I know some people kind of question how legal that is right now with spam stuff and all that, but um, we haven't had any issue. But so then follow-up emails from that, and setting up all those follow-up emails, and there's always just constantly monitoring who opens and how much they open, and trying to kind of tweak subject lines and all that to
Yeah,
get better open rates. And then
that's
I'm trying to think
exciting.
of after at that point, then if they respond, then there's a whole process. If they respond with a price list, a whole process for analyzing the price list and kind of running the numbers on all that. So does that give you an idea of just kind of
Yeah,
the flow? Like
yeah,
when you start breaking it down, each one of those has to be a checklist. Like you and
yeah,
I can understand it, but you got to have somebody who sometimes speaks great English, sometimes doesn't, be able to follow that checklist and do it for you accurately. What, 9 times out of 10? If you can't trust the numbers, got a problem.
did you hire a VA right out of the gate for that, like during the 6-week 8-week period? Were you training someone?
Relatively quickly. It wasn't like week one, but
Yeah,
definitely before we
yeah,
had product live. Yes.
yeah. Do you use Upwork, onlinejobs.ph?
Onlinejobs.ph.
Yeah,
And I mean, yeah, that's a whole separate conversation there.
yeah,
Like, I think it's great. There's lots of super qualified people. My VAs are my best friends. They do so much of the heavy lifting for the
yeah,
business. But there's a lot of work finding good people on there too. Like it takes a little bit of digging. You got to think through how you're writing that job post, and really kind of pay attention to the people you're interviewing, and just yeah, we put everybody through kind of a 2-week trial period where we were checking in, every day, every other day. We were asking them for feedback on what they were doing, because what part of what we wanted was people who were going to improve the processes that we set up, right? Because as we step back from some of that stuff, and they kind of take front and center, um, they're going to know better than us
yeah,
what's working and what's not, right? So part of it was we're looking for engaged people, not just box checkers, and that's a
yeah,
little bit of a weird request when what they're actually doing on a daily basis is checking a lot of boxes, right? But I want someone who can check it faster and check it better, and who cares about
yeah,
that sort of stuff. So anyway, but there's a
yeah.
whole
I've
conversation.
hired a lot of people on onlinejobs.ph, and just various virtual
Right.
assistants, and you'll learn quite quickly if they're willing to go above and
Right.
beyond, or if they're just going to check the
Right.
boxes. And I've had some, I mean, they'll just do everything up until what you said, and they won't go a centimeter further. And if you ask for them to
Yeah.
do it, they want to charge you. I mean, they want
So
to like,
crazy. Yeah.
it's that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely understand. What was it like, if you don't mind me asking, getting that first wholesale account? Like once you hit the green light after that 6 to 8 week period where you were kind of setting up systems and you're like, all right, I'm going to press go and I'm going to send out these emails. I'm sure that was the first thing you
Yeah.
did. Um, what happened?
Yeah. It was, so there's this like, they, they say, yeah, sure, we'll sell to you. And you find out, oh, hey, wait, like this one's going to make money. You're like, oh crap, that's awesome. Like there's a moment of like celebration. And then you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I guess we got to figure out how to do this now. Right. Again, like the learning on the job piece is a little bit, um, I mean, it's great to have kind of, I will say one of the huge benefits of TWF for us was they have a Facebook forum for alumni that I still will go back and search different topics or whatever in that Facebook forum when I've got a question, or a VA comes back to me asking a question and I'm like, man, I haven't done that in 3 months. I don't know. Like I'll go search in there real quick. But anyway, so like it's awesome. It's exciting. It's like, hey, when you get that first account, it's like, hey, that's spectacular. But then you got to kind of follow it up with like, okay, well, here's labels to send product in, and you got to decide whether it's coming to you and you're going to prep it, or you can just send it right into Amazon or a third party place, and just more decisions, right?
Was your first like deal that you went through, like how stressful was it learning how to like go through that whole process and like
Like it
send it
wasn't.
in?
I
And
mean, not terribly stressful. I wouldn't.
no.
That's not the part to me. The more stressful part to me was like after the first few accounts, or you start looking at little bigger accounts or that sort of thing when they are looking for some additional contribution over and above, like, oh yeah, we don't have anybody selling our product on Amazon, sure, why don't nobody says that, like all of these products are products that somebody's selling already, right? So when you start getting into making promises um, for doing stuff that you haven't ever actually done before, like you're like, okay, so I got that account, I told them I was going to do XYZ whatever, and now I got to figure out how to do it, like anyway, that's where that gets a little bit
Yeah.
stressful. But hey,
Yeah.
once you're committed, there's some motivation there now, right?
Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. How much money would you say someone needs, to start this? A lot of people I talk to, they say 3 to 5,000. Even if you have up to 10 would be good just to deal with cash flow. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we started with $10,000 or $12,000. Would we have needed all of that? No, but it did allow us to, when we were confident, those first few clients, first few customers, where like we could kind of get past the basic wholesale price and get a price tier or two up from that right off the bat. You just start making a little bit more right off the bat when you're able to do that. Is it required? No, I don't think so. 3 to 5,000 though, I do think that's a little tight. Um, you gotta be really comfortable, really confident that those first 2, 3 POs are going to make money, and you're able to flip it and invest that into additional POs. Because if you blow it on one of those analysis wise and you end up losing a little bit of money instead of making a little bit of money, then you end up tying up your money for 2 or 3 months while you're selling the product and not making anything. Like, okay, you start that
Mm,
over again in 3 months and do it all again, right? So
yeah.
it depends. If you got a really rock star product that you just are super confident it's gonna turn and it's gonna make you good margin, then yeah, I think you could start with 3 or 5,000 just fine. But we started with a little bit more.
And let me ask you, where do you see the future of wholesale going? Do you see this, trending upward in the future? Do you see, the internet and e-commerce becoming obsolete?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I mean, what did I see? I mean, Amazon had their best Q4 ever this last Q4. I mean, it's some astronomical number. I don't know what COVID does or doesn't do over the next, 6 months or a year, but man, the last 2 years have been just sky high for anything online. And then I will say the other thing I just saw the other day, Amazon just got hit with some sort of, I don't even know all the legalese of it, but some sort of lawsuit out on the West Coast about the kind of the sold by Amazon products, that I guess is going to limit some of their sales of some of those products, which just opens up more room for third party sellers like us
Yeah.
on the platform. So I think that there's only going to be more room, more space for third party sellers in the future. It's just you got to be willing to put the time and effort in to do it.
Absolutely, man. And to kind of wrap things up, really appreciate you coming on. What
Yeah.
final advice would you give to the folks who are watching right now in the audience and they like the idea of this? It sounds exciting. They want to learn more. If you could go back in time and if you were starting all over, what piece of advice would you give yourself? Would you give the people that would probably help the most?
Yeah, I think well, so a little bit depends on, hey, are you how big are you looking to go and how fast, right? So because we had full-time jobs outside of it, we did the whole like email a whole bunch of people and hope some of them respond. Like we talked about earlier, either video or just getting on the phone with people you're going to convert a lot higher percentage. I think that is a really worthwhile, especially if you feel comfortable on a phone. That's a really worthwhile suggestion is, hey, spend your time doing your product research up front, and then or a VA doing the product research up front and then providing that to you, and then you spend your time getting on the phone and just chatting people up. I think that would be one. And then I guess I didn't go into all of this just realizing all the, like I mentioned a minute ago, all the little ins and outs on Amazon, and just recognizing that you're going to learn as you go. There's going to be things that you're not going to know, and get real friendly with submitting support cases to Amazon, because I mean, geez, I do it all day, every day. So.
Oh man. Well, thank you so much, Andrew, for coming on and
For sure.
sharing your story, sharing your experiences. I know that these, little gold nuggets are going to help some people and hopefully inspire and change some lives. So I just want to say thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I hope you have a great 2022.
Yeah.
Keep up the success, man. And next time I talk to you, you'll hopefully be up to 40K net.
Yeah, right. Sounds like a plan. Hey, I appreciate your time.
All right. Take care,
Thanks a
everybody.
lot.
I appreciate you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
All right. Bye.